Greetings, everyone. Anita Stewart McCafferty here. Welcome to Module 3 of EDU 671, Organizational Behavior. I know this 7-week accelerated course format is kind of fast and furious, so I hope you have put on your seatbelt and you've geared up. I want to thank you for your participation so far in the discussion boards and for the quality of the assignments that you are submitting. So this week in Module 3, we're going to focus on leadership theories and approaches. And our guiding questions for this week are as follows. How do leaders impact organizational culture and climate? What leadership theories and approaches are alive in your organization? Which theories or approaches undergird your current view on effective school leadership? What is your educational leadership philosophy? And what defines you? What are you all about? What drives or motivates you and provides purpose for you? We have 3 module objectives, and they are as follows. By the end of this week, I'm hoping that you'll be able to compose at least a draft of your leadership philosophy, create a personal creed or a life vision that explains what defines and motivates you, and to be able to explain various leadership theories and approaches. Last week, I had you look at organizational culture and climate and kind of really take a dive into some of the distinctions between culture and climate, how they might overlap, and to think again about how do you create a trusting and equitable climate within your organization. This week, we're going to focus, as I said, our attentions on really the role of the leader and help each other and help yourself as you're continuing your journey as an educational leader to think about what's really at your core. What are your priorities? What are you all about? And so to do that, we're going to continue with, of course, our common read, Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. And I'm going to ask that you read chapters 6 through 8. In addition to those chapters, there are several articles and videos and slideshows that I put together for you around leadership, theories, theorists, kind of approaches, philosophy. And then the other part of the readings and viewings will really be around this idea of personal creeds or credos. Some people refer to them as life visions. And so I'm going to ask for you to listen to a podcast from Jim Quick, who I introduced you to in one of my discussion prompts. And he interviews the creator of Mind Valley, which is a professional learning organization. And this gentleman's name is Vishan, and he's going to lead you through his 3 important questions. And so you'll be listening to that audio, the podcast, and as well as viewing the Facebook show notes, as Quick calls them. Your assignment for this week is 2-part or twofold, really. The first task is to think about and dig deeper into your current views around leadership. So what's kind of undergirding your beliefs right now about leadership? So what theorists or approaches are kind of influencing you? And then for you to be able to flesh out at least a draft of a leadership philosophy. Often you will be asked in an interview to be able to define and describe your leadership philosophy. We also often see that when you are submitting materials for a school leadership position, that you will be asked to put in writing what your leadership philosophy is. So now's a good time, if you haven't already begun drafting and really thinking about how you would articulate that, to do so. The second part of that assignment task is, as I was mentioning, is to really flesh out this idea of what is your personal creed, what motivates you and inspires you. And I think this is really important for leaders to know who they are at a core and to kind of think about what hills are you willing to die on? What really is going to keep you up at night? What's going to drive you through a lot of the challenges that you might face? And how will people be able to understand you, those who work for you, other stakeholders that might be out and about in the community? When they look at you, what are they going to see at your core? And so that's the idea of fleshing that out. The next part, or the last part, really is around the discussion board. And there are 2 prompts this week that I'm asking for you to think about and then engage with your colleagues around. And that's the idea that the Heath brothers introduced us to around ooching. And then there's a prompt around thinking about interviewing and hiring. And so I'm hoping that you will be able to really think about your own, examples so far around reality testing your assumptions, and then to think more globally about your organization, and then to think in the future, how might you be able to use these concepts? I also want to mention that if you haven't already chosen a book from the choice reading book list, then I really strongly want to encourage you to do so this week and to get a copy of that in your hands, because we will be wrapping up Decisive and then moving you in the direction of beginning to read your choice book. I tried to really revamp the reading list for 671, kind of update it. You will notice that there are a number of authors and books that are more than 5 years old, and those that I kept on there really have laid a foundation in some way to major concepts within organizational behavior, either as a whole or have an important contribution to school leadership and school organizations. If you find a book that's being recommended to you by your own leaders, or you've come across and you don't find it on the book list, please shoot me an email and let me know what your rationale is for choosing that book, as opposed to, I don't know, a few dozen books that I thought were kind of important. And we'll be able to negotiate that out for you. All right, I hope that you enjoy Module 3. Happy learning.